Hey guys, it's Heather. I wanted to go ahead and get this comments at Watchtower studies done because it is irking my everlast nerve. The idea behind CAWS-Comments at Watchtower studies, in case you've never been here before, is that it's a really subtle Kingdom Hall crash at the Watchtower study, or it's a comment that'll make people think about, what their beliefs are, or in the very least try and show them a different perspective and be kind. This study article is from the April 2019 Watchtower Study Edition. It is for the week of June 10th through 16th, 2019, and is titled Imitate Jesus to Stay at Peace, and Stay at Peace. Sorry. Just like the last one, and I'm going to say that there's probably a trend here I haven't pinned down yet. They start right off the bat with some crazy BS that ticks me off. I'm going to date myself a little bit. Just a little. We studied a book called The Greatest Man Who Ever Lived when I was younger. And yeah, it was about Jesus. So they went into great detail on, his last days on earth. And he was sweating blood. And I believe in that book, they even went as far as to reference, I don't have the book to check, but I think they went as far as to reference medical studies where you can be stressed to such a severe point that you sweat blood. Now, anybody who's at least 25, maybe younger, would remember this book and the fact that Jesus was sweating blood. And most of these people are older than 25 because they have the cruddiest retention rate of almost any religion. So they're kind of setting the tone once again for what your expectations should be. And if that's not you, then what's wrong with me? And then going into paragraph 3, paragraph 1, they went as far as to say he had tranquility. Tell me how that works. Paragraph 3 says that, I got my notes again. None of us will face the pressure that Jesus had to endure that will rob us of our peace. A perfect man, stressed to the point where he was sweating blood. I don't think we're ever going to experience that ourselves, but at the same time, I woke up in a panic attack that sent me to the hospital with the paramedic and my limbs were turning blue. I woke up that way. Never had a chance to stress about it. They have zero grasp of mental health. We'll get into this more later. Paragraph 5, I have to say again, we haven't even gotten into comments yet, and we're going on 5 minutes. Paragraph 5, the apostles faltered in their faith because they didn't pray as much as Jesus did. Now, if I remember correctly, they went somewhere to rest, and none of them stayed up to keep Jesus company, and basically it hurt his feelings. I think knowing what was going on, it would hurt my feelings too, but, you know, maybe, I don't know. But if they had stayed up all night and prayed, because he was literally up all night and praying, they would have been a little less capable of coping anyway. So they have some speculation that they faltered in their faith because they failed to continuously pray. No, I don't have, like I said, I don't have the book to check this, but I don't remember anywhere in the book that they I don't remember anywhere where they said that they faltered to pray. I mean, some of them showed a lack of faith. I don't remember. It's getting late and I'm tired. But I don't remember them linking it to, you know, failing to pray in the book. Paragraph 7 is where we finally get into a comments at Watchtower studies. So they get into an experience with somebody, and he quotes Philippians 4, verse 6 and 7, and that's, it's a popular scripture that somebody trying to console someone with anxiety would share. And we finally get to use some medical science. We're going to talk about it. We're not going to really use it, obviously. This is another one of my planned studies, is that the Bible actually has a lot more insight on mental health than, obviously, Tony Tight Pants with a bad case of PTSD and, you know, obsessing over weirdo stuff. In the last part of Philippians 4, verse 6, the last part of verse 7 specifically says mental powers. Now, mental to me kind of says intellectual capacity. So there happens to be a footnote, and guess what that footnote says? In the Bible, in verse 7, it specifically says mental powers, with the footnotes that says your mind and thoughts. Now, our comment is going to be a definition, or elaborating on a definition, and you guys were just so awesome. You were reading the footnotes and everything when you were studying for the Watchtower. Good job. And, you know, your mental powers, your mind and your thoughts. So by definition, mental is element of mind. The definition of mind, as in your mind and thoughts, is emotional and intellectual capacity. We're going to comment about that. You know, they speak about the mind, and specifically saying, by definition, true to definition, we are talking about your emotional and intellectual capacity. It has nothing to do with biology, because we all know in this day and age, science has progressed to a point where you can actually measure differences in the brain of somebody who has got PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Like, there's a medical condition that is measurable with modern medical science and imaging that doesn't change your ability to have an emotional and intellectual response, but, you know, just like being in pain can kind of make you cranky, you know, there's a biological component to it. And the Bible is showing some really awesome insight if you look at that footnote and acknowledging that. Because this Watchtower really drives me up the wall. So we want to point out those medical studies and the capacity of medical imaging to find those differences, which I specifically remember from a post I saw today. And PTSD affects the hippocampus and the amygdala, if you wanted to use an example. Paragraph 9 talks about finding comfort in your ministry. This is another thing where they probably reference a scripture. Once again, I'm working from handwritten notes. They probably reference a scripture. Once again, the Bible is far ahead of its time, because any modern medical journal will tell you that for depression and for almost every physical ailment or mental or emotional thing you can have going on, you need to get fresh air. You need sunshine. Isolation, remember the shunning policy, isolation is brutally damaging to your body, and it gives you fellowship. It gets you out there talking to people. So you have exercise, sunshine, fellowship. You've got fresh air. It's all great for you and doing good things. You don't have to be going in field service to get that, but as long as they're using a scripture to say that this is therapeutic for you to go in ministry, you can say that the Bible is far ahead of its time and far ahead of the governing body and their little control issues. Paragraph 13, you have a perfect man who accepted help from his peers and his friends. We are not perfect. Like I said, we have biological measurable changes up here that can be found in modern medical imaging. If Jesus was accepting of help from friends and strangers and, you know, family in the faith, then certainly we can do the same thing and find a doctor, because our brains are not perfect. Thank you. 14 and 15, this is probably more appropriate for 15, but it would work for either. The whole article is about anxieties, and I kind of want to use this opportunity to talk about maladaptive coping methods. Isolation and ostracism causes maladaptive coping methods. Ostracism is just another word for shunning. So, you know, there's scriptures that say to take care of the elderly, the lowly, i.e. somebody who's having, you know, a hard time. They're sad, they're depressed, they've got a lot going on, the lowly, and the fatherless child, that kind of thing. So not only do we need to take care of the people that are mentioned in the paragraph, but we need to watch out for people that are struggling, because isolation causes maladaptive coping methods or bad coping methods. You don't want them to have that opportunity to fall into a bad place. So we are going to, in the very least, provide fellowship to these people, because it's important for their spiritual health and as well as their physical health. It impacts physical health. So Yeah, 14 and 15 is a really good one. 17 just kind of wraps it up, gives everybody the opportunity to bring out their favorite points of the paragraph again. So, yeah. If you didn't get an opportunity to say something, find a way to weasel that into your comment on paragraph 17. As usual, I don't give you, we talk about the comments, but I'm not